Hello everybody, my name is Piotr Pasich and today I'd like to talk about the Docker and AWS, Amazon Web Services, based on Elastic Beanstalk. And after all, we will finish with the code ship, which allows us to move to the code, to the CI and see the continuous deployment. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you for watching this presentation, of course. So let's start. I've got only 2 slides for you. So I'm going to share my screen, the whole screen. And here we go. This is my first slide. You can find me in the X-Team company, on my personal blog, or of course on the company website or on the Twitter. Let's get started. First of all, we need to, of course, talk about the Docker, what it is. In my personal opinion, it is next move after the Vagrant and the VirtualBox. So we can assume that it's something like the very next VirtualBox instance. But if you will install the Vagrant instance, then the system will deliver you a whole new package with the system, Ubuntu or the Windows, and you will see you will see that it consumes a lot of memory, the RAM or something like that. And Docker moves a little bit moves it from consuming the memory to consuming to creating a processes to not consuming a lot of your personal resources. So everything what will be created from the Docker instances, containers, because it is called containers, it will be created as a processes. So we can install the Docker, which will show us the simple website. On the Docker site, share the screen, of course. On the Docker website, you can find a little instruction how to install the Docker. I will download it. The bootget. Here. The Docker demo. Download, and after a couple of seconds it should be installed and available for us. Or after 20 seconds, because it's going to sleep. Okay. After successfully installation of the Docker, we should be able to run the Docker command. I will run it without the sudo with the simplest command, hello world. It should download the container to our disk, to our shared folder, and then we should be able to run this container. What I'm going to do next is to create my own personal project. So I need to remove all from this directory and download a little funny project. Well, here it is. Sorry for the Midnight Commander. And create a very first Docker container with Nginx inside, which should show me my application. It is a funny application. You probably know this one. So first of all, I need to create my Docker file. This is the heart of our Docker container, Docker file. Docker file. Well, probably I can open it from this point. Open. Sorry, Docker demo. Here we go. We need to choose some base where we can, from which instance we can create our container. We can create it from the clear one, but I'm going to, and I recommend you to find something which will fit your expectations and fit your find something on the Docker side. And we need the Nginx with the PHP. Here's my favorite one. I'm going to just copy this name. You can find a lot of already ready-to-use containers on the Docker registry site in the Browse tab. I recommend you to not create your own from the very beginning, but to use it. First of all, you will by creating your own Docker files and adding some more stuff inside it, you will increase the time of building the application and running it on the Docker and deploying it on the Amazon Web Services. When I have started my journey with the Docker, I have achieved the deployment time in about 2 or 3 hours. Now building all the application with the MySQL, with the Nginx, Elasticsearch, and so on takes about a couple of minutes. So it's a huge progress, and I achieved that by using ready-to-use instances. So we will do the from and build our Docker instance, Docker build with the dot at the end, because we are working at this specified folder, the Docker demo start. As you can see, it had downloaded Nginx PHP on my personal computer. If I will clear my containers, my personal computer from all containers, then it will probably download all available instances from container instances from the server, and then build it from the scratch. And it shows me that successfully built with some ID. ID is really important because we can use it later to run our Docker container, because it is built right now, but it's not running. The Docker yes command doesn't show us anything. And in this command, we can see all running containers on our machine. We can add some other arguments to show all available containers on our machine. So we are going to run our container, run, and the specified ID, I'm going to name it, but this is the tricky thing with the arguments inside the Docker container, because if you do something like this, it won't work. It will create a random name like the server tuning or the Docker AWS VP or something like that. You need to specify the name and all the arguments before the ID, and that would work. This is the very first trick, which consumes a lot of your personal time to understand how the Docker works and why it is not working fine. So we are going to run. Now it's running in the foreground because I haven't added the additional flag -d, which runs the Docker in the demo mode. So I'm going to show you that it is really working. It has the name test, but probably you're asking where it is available for us, because it isn't right now. we need to download the IP address of the Docker. To do this, we would like to use the Docker command inspect test. This is the long one, JSON format, and here we can find out every single information about about our Docker container. So we are going to grab our IP address. You can do the same by grab IP address. Most likely it wouldn't work. Okay, it's working. It's working. Now we have our HTML application, but we would like to move to our to the PHP application, which will use the MySQL. So most likely we can use the WordPress. Download. I will stop the current Docker container, Docker kill test. We haven't got anything in our Docker PS. Okay, so I'm going to remove almost everything, or make dir WP. I'm going to download the latest WordPress version and set up our application on our current Docker instance. And this first thing where I missed something, what I told you in the very beginning, that you should use ready-to-use containers. We got our container with the Nginx and the PHP, based on Nginx and the PHP, but of course we can find the container for the WordPress. So after all, you will have installed the Apache with the latest version of PHP and MySQL. So it is really great to download this container against the one we are using now. But for our example, in our case, I will use this to develop our own Docker file, because you can use it in the future for the Laravel framework, or the Symfony frameworks, or whatever you want. Okay, while this is installing, I will add one thing. I will add our application. I will expose you that how it works, because it is not exposed in this file, but inside the container nginx -php, there it is. So I will add our current folder, it is the Docker demo folder, to our data HTTP folder. This is exactly the same what you can find in the Docker file of this container, but I would like to expose it right here. Second thing, here we are. The second thing, what I like to do is to create my personal Docker things. Here, where I will change the implementation of some or override some configuration. An example, I will Docker run I need to run this application once again and show you how to get into the Docker container directly and see what is inside. To do this, we need to use the very latest tool available on the market for about a couple of months, 2 or 3, something like that. It is in the previous stage. This is called in Docker enter. As I said in the beginning, Docker creates for us processes, not full virtual boxes where we can access from by the SSH or something and log into the server, change something and save the state of the server. It is process, so everything. So we can run some kind of command like docker execute docker execute this instance. I don't know, ls-al, and this should show us everything what we need to do. An example in the data folder, HTTP, and this one is empty right now, and I would like to add there some files. So I need to install our Docker container. To do this, we need to have ECC. It is already installed. Download the Docker install. Docker enter. And run the following command. Of course, we can copy it to the shared directory like sudo docker enter user in enter, and now here we go. Now we got our command docker available for us. We need to enter this container. Okay, and here we are as a root, logged in into our container as a root user. What we need to do to see how our Nginx instance is configured. So we are going here and grab the host cat. Okay, so here is the thing, what I would like to change. I would like the data HTTP folder to the data HTTP per WP, because there we put our WordPress there. To override our configuration, I will create the file default conf, copy everything what it is inside. This is the fastest way to achieve that, and just add the suffix in the end. And here is the funny thing. I need my file docker default conf to our instance. Was I default conf, copy that default conf. Moreover, I will expose you. Okay, so now we are going back to my personal computer. Docker ps, docker, docker kill this one, and build the whole thing once again, because we added some things inside. Sorry, cd docker daemon. Here we are. Docker run. SD like daemon. Okay, and here we are. Now our inspect every single time when we will rebuild our Docker container, the IP address will be changed. But after Docker run and IP and some ID, the IP address should stay the same. So after every single build, we need to grab our new IP address to see where the application is. There is a method to change our local host and go to the local host and go to the local host and see our current Docker container with the Nginx application on the local host. Okay, so we have our application, but most likely it is not working because we haven't got any MySQL here and any MySQL configuration. As you can see, we have Docker sample, nothing here, the database name, so probably it will crash. I'm going to do a little trick here. We will test, we will add a new container, Docker, okay, here we are. Browse MySQL, need MySQL server. Okay, I like this one. You can see what is inside the container, the Docker file. It's a really fast one. And we need to run this container. But first of all, I need to kill. Okay, Docker run. Ah, what happened? Okay. You can add that this should be the latest version or some specified version here. We need to add also the name MySQL. Sorry. This server requires from us some environment variables, so we will add the env and our test. Don't minus d. Okay. Here's the way how you can pass the environment variables. You can add it also in the Docker file directly, like env and some var and the value. This should work the same way. Okay, this should. Okay, I will go with that here. And now we should have our MySQL, demo MySQL 2, and our Nginx. Our Nginx container cannot use it, cannot use the MySQL connection because we haven't passed anything there. So I'm going to kill it and open once again, but with the link to our MySQL and MySQL command. Okay, here we are. And now we can use the connection to the MySQL. So basically, I'm going to copy our file. Config sample here. DB name would be, I don't know, the demo. DB user would be root. Test. It doesn't matter if we are working on the root because it is only for our demo. And here, MySQL. Okay, I have changed something about that, and it does this one. Okay, MySQL, Docker PS. Okay, and here we are with our current instance. Hidden. I wonder why. Docker nginx config. Huh. I have a little help here. Okay, here everything is okay. Everything is okay. So maybe the Docker file. Yeah. We'll kill all of our instances for the nginx. Run it once again. Okay, demo. Okay, we can run it. And grab our thing. As you can see, every time it increases the IP by 1. Whee! Okay, and it's not working well too. This is the funny thing about the Docker. Sometimes the things are not working well because of anything. I don't know more. Docker HTTP. Probably we should move all of those files inside the Docker and just not to overwrite the rest of the thing contributing to Docker file. Okay. Something like this. Copying SSD file. Rebuilding the project. Okay, doing that, I can show you the AWS panel. We will move to the AWS after a couple of minutes. This is our administration panel. After you will successfully register, and you will find yourself confused after this long list of available tools inside the Amazon cloud. The most important for us are, of course, the Elastic Business Stock, which will enable us to create our own Docker container inside the cloud, and RDS, which allows us to create some database, but we won't use that tool directly from the administration panel because Elastic Beanstalk will create the RDS instance for us. So to create the RDS instance, we need to go there, create an application like this EBU test, and launch new environment, create web server. I have added a new role before. Here is the funny thing. You need to remember that you are not working with the PHP directly, but you are working with the generic Docker container. So you need to select the generic Docker container and the single instance. We won't use anything more. Our sample application. You can, of course, upload the zip file or add the S3 link here, but it is not necessary here. Demo 6 probably it is available name, okay, and it will create a URL name for you, demo6.elasticbeanstalk.com, and some description, which is not mandatory right now. Here you should create a RDS database. I will show you how to get the information about the host username or the database name from the Docker container to about the RDS, create, you will change, you will pick up the instance. The full list with the pricing can be found on the main homepage of the Amazon Web Services. This is a huge table of pricing, and be prepared you have to get a lot of money for the bigger one, but we can create the T1 Micro, which is quite cheap. Our SE per K. This is really important to go to the security area, security credentials, and upload your SSH keys, because you will be able to log into the Elastic Beanstalk instance server directly with that. So we are going to select that, apply my personal email. This is not important for us right now. We keep it empty, but here you can specify the environment, additional information about the environment. I will show you how to grab it a little bit later. And our RDS, our database, which has own server dedicated for that. With this snapshot, I have created some snapshot, but we won't use that. The username will be WordPress. The password, favorite one. Next, and here we can launch our server. I won't click the launch. I have created our own instance of the Elastic Beanstalk an hour before the presentation, because it takes about 15 to 20 minutes, because the Elastic Beanstalk will wait for creating the RDS instance, and you need to wait a little bit for that. So in the services, Elastic Beanstalk, I can see that I have my own Elastic Docker demo instance. And probably we're done here. Okay, so I will remove that, and to be pretty sure, I will remove our container, our configuration here, and build Docker build once again. Docker PS heal Docker link. We need to link to the MySQL server, of course. And our ID successfully built here. Okay, here we are. So let's forget about the -d argument. So Docker PS, Docker inspect, because we need our IP address. Here we are with another one. Yay! We haven't got any connection there, so most likely we can log into our Docker container. Enter here. IP address, this one. Requires from us the root permissions, data, HTTP. Here we are. I need to install the Vim because we haven't specified this before, and after rebuilding or running again the Docker container, the Vim package won't be available for us. We need to be aware of that. I'll copy that. I will show you in a couple of minutes how to avoid this kind of situation where you don't have the config. cp config. Oh, here it is. Here we are, and most likely I missed this one. To get the name of the container. Or we haven't got our database because we have an empty instance. So docker ps exit docker ps docker. Sorry, this one. We need to log into MySQL. We use root -p. It's denied. It's a little weird thing. Once again, a little help here with me. Docker run link. Here we go. SIT MySQL. We need this one. Okay, test. Okay, here we are. Create date. And probably we should change the name of data HTTP. And the name was fine. Here we go. When the configuration is set up correctly, then everything works fine. And now we are able to install our WordPress application. This is quite fine. And we would like to do this right now. Now we can deploy this application to our Elastic Beanstalk. So I'm going to move out from this cd docker demo it was, and we will need the Elastic Beanstalk AWS abcli command. What we need to do is install the Elastic Beanstalk command. The whole installation process is available, then introduction is available on the official documentation of the Amazon Web Services, and this is quite fast. After that, should be able to run the ab init command. Choose your server. We are using the US West, so the default one. Our application, the ab test. And now we should be able to see all of available environments for us, because every single application can have more than one environment inside. So you can create a production environment on the Elastic Beanstalk, the QA, the test, the pre-production, or the staging one, and from every single branch on the Git can be assigned to a single environment. We're going to use So, and Elastic Beanstalk requires from us to use the Git. So we need to use the Git init, Git status. Most likely we would like to avoid to ignore some files like wp-config, php, and idea. Okay. And yourself and do this in home git add git ignore git commit init. Everybody should know that. And now we can run Elastic Beanstalk init. Not init. We have already initialized our application. Maybe deploy eb list, and we should use our environment views. If you would like to deploy the application to one another environment, you can specify your environment at the end. If you use some default environment in your Git branch, then of course you can avoid that one. Now we can send our application to the Elastic Beanstalk. It can take a moment, probably 1 minute, maybe less, I hope. In the AWS, you should see that something is happening, but nothing is happening. Okay, it's uploading. Maybe because of maybe it takes a lot of time because of the video connection. Normally it takes 1 second to upload the file, the zipped environment to the not environment, the zipped project to the S3 instance, and then it builds in a couple of seconds everything. And now you can see that deploying new version to the instance has already started. You can see how much of your resources the deployment consumes, and also see what's happening there. If every error occurs, this will be showed on the long list of the events. I will show you how to see the logs and the Elastic Beanstalk logs and the Docker logs inside. Oh, because it is not working well right now, so we are going to the eb logs from the command line and see what's going on. Okay, this is a compilation of all most wanted logs on our server. So we have our standard error, Docker log, but only the events right here. The current application command processor is not for us, then an Nginx error, and I know what happened. Access is not important for us. We need to find out the Docker container here. Here we are, AB activity on the very last one, and we can see that our instance cannot be created because we haven't exposed any directly any of ports, and probably we should expose the port 80. It will expose our port 80 for the HTTP server and run it to the world. Okay, what we should do more to avoid the failure on deployment, we should create a Docker file AWS JSON. Working, not working. Here we go. We need to pass all of our, I would like to pass all of our logs from the Docker container to the specified directory in our server to be able to see what's going on from the EB command line. And also I would like to add the container import and specify the Elastic Beanstalk version. So I'm going to, of course, you can create a lot of things. You need to add everything what you want to your Git. So Dockerfile, Docker run AWS, see the status, Git. And deploy. We'll check how much time do you need for deploy. Seal the video. Sorry for that. Are you there? You are. Uploading. The events. You should probably now see that the Docker is working. We can of course see the previous events. Our application failed. We can set up the Elastic Beanstalk to revert previous version or even not to enable the deploying one after the failed build. So we will be pretty sure that we have always working version on our production, in example production or QA environment. Still deploying. I like it. Okay. Deploying. Normally it takes about 20 seconds. Okay. And now we can open our instance. As you can see, we got an error, but the application is successfully built because it was what we expected. We haven't specified any configuration for our connection to the RDS server. So what I'm going to do is show you where should we grab the RDS configuration. We can log into the server by calling abssh sudo docker ps. We can see that we have only one instance of our Nginx server, and now we can see we can execute only from the sudo command sec grep rds commands and Docker. Now we can see in that we have available for us every credentials necessary to log in with the MySQL database in the environment options. And what is really funny, we cannot access it from the PHP when we run our server from Nginx. This is really painful, but when you run your server based on Apache Apache, then you can just call get environment RDS port in example, and this should return you the current port of the MySQL instance in the PHP directly, or even you can call the var dump server. And all of those options you should see all of those options inside the server variable. Moreover, you can add your own options. Inside the configuration, you have a software configuration where you can add something more, like, I don't know, test, or even the team back byte or something, and then you should be able to call it from here. An example, as you can see, we have the DB user and DB name, which are available in our administration panel. But the funny thing is, we can't use it inside the Nginx, so we need to hack it. And I have prepared, because it is a really long discussion, I have prepared a little script to do this. DB options, which gets our environment variables and save it to the specified file. This is a little hack. I really don't like it, but we have to do this. dbconfig. The file will work like this. Wait a second. dbconfig sample. We need this file. We don't need this one. We need this one. Like this. On the Apache server, on your local container, it will work. Not on the second one. And copy the script to the Docker site. What we need to do, we need to run the script, of course. So what I'm going to do is I copy one file. Okay. Copy one file to the Docker file. We will directly change the directory where we are working now without the WP, because we have removed the directory there. We need to copy the WP config sample to the wconfig and run our simple script to grab all the necessary environment options to our DB script. And of course, we need to remove all from here and just include the file. dbconfig php. Okay, of course, git. Sorry, I'm still on the AB. Config sample Docker file and git rm. We would like to store this file in our commit. How to call it? RDS configuration. And deploy. I'll stop it right now and add -v command to see what's happening exactly inside. There is one another thing. You cannot see what exactly is happening inside the Docker building script before it is finished. So you will receive all the information, and that's something happens. Let's try it again. It fails always, probably because of the JQ. Nope. Okay, I know what to do. The fastest way to do this is just And do we have some? Oh, okay. Now I got all things. Yes, yes. I have to admit, a lot of threads are open on the Stack Overflow regarding this issue that the environment variables are not available on the PHP or the engine or the Nginx instances, and this is unfair for the Nginx user because everything is available for the Apache users. So I will add this funny hack to all threads I will find. That's finishing. During that, I can show you the code section because it is going to deploy and working fine, I hope. So the very last thing is the continuous deployment with the code section, code sheet, sorry, code sheet. You can create your own project from the GitHub, or Bitbucket. Connect with GitHub. You can specify some of your available repositories. You can of course find something. I will grab this one. This one. Okay, you should probably wait. Or whatever. Okay. After picking up one of those, you can specify the setup commands. Of course, you can add, I don't know, the gulp install or install or build or something like that. Install all of your dependencies, composer install here. And here you should have your tests, in example, PHP unit. And it works most likely like the Jenkins, but it is a service available for you. Then save and go to down port. From this point, we can specify the deployment process. You can add the Amazon Beanstalk, specify the AWS access key, secret key, the region. In our case, it was the West one, the West 2. The name, you have available the name here. A lot of services here, A/B test, and our environment name is the Docker demo. So here it goes, and we need to specify, of course, the S3 bucket name. After creating that, we should be able to add more information. Wait a second, maybe it will allow us without putting my personal credentials from the AWS to the internet, of course. And when something will be pushed to the master branch, then it will build and automatically deploy it to your AWS instance. You can change the branch. You can change it to the QA, to the production, stable, whatever you want. And when something will be pushed to this branch, then it will be automatically deployed to your server. This is quite fine. Your QA won't interrupt your work after every single finished task and merge. Find what happened here. Docker image cannot start. Oh, okay. Missed one. Think Docker file. Here we go. WP, okay. favorite commit hotfix. A bit late. After that, everything should work. So thank you for spending with me 1 hour. I hope you enjoyed. And in the summary, I can tell you that the Docker is a really funny thing. Not everything is working fine as you expect, but after learning and learning, I don't know, in about 2 or 3 months, you will understand every process, how it works, how this connect containers, and understand what's the differences between the Docker and the Vagrant or the simple VirtualBox. I will find out if there are any questions right now. Nope. So thank you. Here it is.